to LA?
Oh, for the kids, the family, the weather.
What's the one thing you miss the most about living in New York City?
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. We have a big hearing coming up in Sean Combs' criminal case, so what can we expect? What has been happening? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to dive into some of the recent updates in the case. Our team has had at this point more than 285 individuals contact us. Now we're the biggest, and we're the baddest, and we're just floating around looking for something to eat. I don't get paid to be nice. I don't get paid, I'm not your counselor. I'm the guy that goes out and kicks ass for you and gets you checks like that. In a shocking turn, powerhouse attorney Tony Busby has abruptly withdrawn from the high-profile lawsuit against Diddy Combs after failing to disclose his ineligibility to practice in the Southern District of New York. With Busby out, some wonder, does this mean a win for Diddy? Meanwhile, Combs' legal troubles deepen as his defense team and crisis managers allegedly jump ship as the courtroom drama escalates. What does this shakeup mean for the case? Is Diddy gaining the upper hand, or is this just another twist in his legal nightmare? Here's what we know: there are other celebrities involved in the Diddy case, and some of their names may be coming out, according to the attorney, who is representing more than 100 accusers now, Tony Busby. We spoke to him on TMZ Live, and he said that a lot of people allowed it to go on, said nothing, didn't intervene, maybe benefited from it, profited from it. All of these individuals and entities, in my view, have exposure here. He's actually sent demand letters saying this is what we know you're involved in. He's saying involved in the sense that even if they didn't drug somebody or participate in that, he feels like they're liable to a point where they should pay up, and now it just feels like a money grab on the other side. They call it legalized extortion. If these celebrities were at that party, saw bad things happening, didn't say anything, they get what's coming to them. What? Because they should have spoke up. We have an obligation to rat out everybody. We know when they do bad things. If you don't stop them, are you responsible? I feel like you should be. In a stunning twist, high-profile Houston attorney Tony Busby has withdrawn from a major lawsuit against music mogul Diddy Combs after failing to disclose his inability to practice law in the Southern District of New York. Tony Busby is the attorney who was coming after Jay-Z and Diddy over this assault lawsuit, right? And obviously, you know that didn't go in his favor, but now you know he has filed over a dozen cases against Diddy in New York City. So the thing is that according to reports, he can no longer practice law in the Southern District of New York. So this includes New York, Bronx, Westchester, Rockland. You know, it just keeps going, right? The 5 boroughs of New York City. And so now I'm like, all of those lawsuits are donezo. I think they have to find a new representation, cause he can no longer litigate those cases. This revelation has sparked widespread debate, with some calling it one of the most embarrassing legal blunders in recent history. The withdrawal raises critical questions about Busby's credibility and has the potential to impact the trajectory of the case. And I think there's all these like small details that things he failed to apply for, blah blah blah. But yeah, he gets the biggest button. Congratulations. You played yourself. And well deserved too. And don't forget, it sounds like Jay is coming to tap those pockets too. Absolutely. He's not letting this go. Absolutely. So yeah, honestly, see, we talked about this though, right? We remember. We said it. We're like, he's not going to let this go. No, he's going to fight to clear his name, and then he's going to come after him. And that's exactly what he's doing. Yeah, and as he should, but it is a congrats. Because Tony Busby also represents some people who actually really are victims, and now he's completely sullied all that. Maybe he already was a bad guy, but this was a huge botch. Busby had been representing over 120 plaintiffs who alleged misconduct by Combs, but a federal judge ordered him to explain why he had not disclosed his ineligibility to practice in the district. Forced to step down, Busby admitted to an error in judgment and stated that his involvement had become a distraction. Okay, so basically Busby was not allowed to practice in the Southern District of New York, and Jay-Z started this whole firestorm and told the people, the powers that be, that he's not allowed to practice. And so now he withdrew himself from the case, and people are scolding him, that powers that be, like, hey, why did we not know about this? And he said it was an error of judgment. He's trying to blame it on an error of judgment, and also saying he's being attacked by famous people. Right, yeah, he said that famous opponents are targeting him on Bon. And so that's his explanation for all of this. Busby represents 100 different accusers in this Diddy case, so now we're at a point where all these accusers are now attached to what is becoming his public legacy, and people looking at him as what Jay-Z called him, a 1-800 lawyer. You remember some of these accusations? So before this trial hotline set up for people to be able to call in and let them know you. No, he was trying to get more and more people, so he did withdraw from 15, and then they said he just moved to withdraw from 7 more. Lawsuits against Diddy after a judge called him out for this, he said he is going to wait to appear in court until such time as he is admitted to practice in the district, and his client will continue to be represented by Curist Law. So what does that mean for the people who have filed? That means they have different representation, and he's still trying to be able to. I think he's practicing, probably trying to fight back, but doesn't want to say too much because he doesn't know how this is all going to turn out. He knows that probably what he anticipated was going to happen through this Jay-Z civil suit didn't go the way it planned, so I think that he now realizes that he's going against much more powerful people than he probably thought. And so he doesn't want to say too much, but he wants the trial to still go on. He assured the public that another law firm would take over the case while he worked to resolve his legal standing, because what I think it happens with accusers is that sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle of whatever's happening. So if he's in some drama now, everyone's story is looking like a false story because it's attached to Busby, and so smartly he wants the case to go on with different representation, and he's going to try to join back in when and if he can. Now, can Diddy potentially walk free because of this? Is there potential for that? Because these are technicalities. It's not necessarily, because I think also publicly people are going to now doubt these accusers because a lawyer of what he did, knowing that he wasn't able to practice in the 7th District of New York Federal Court. Now it makes it look like he's shady. Yeah, I mean, the court of public opinion is real. All the jurors are going to be people who live in or around New York, so you have to remember that. Even though they're not swayed and they get asked tons of questions to get them off a jury, these are still real actual people that have to believe that Diddy did it beyond the shadow of a doubt, and that's a hard thing to prove, right? Innocent until proven guilty, so we're going to see what happens, but I think this definitely damages a little bit of the credibility. This latest controversy further complicates an already chaotic situation for Combs, who remains incarcerated in Brooklyn on serious racketeering and conspiracy charges. His legal troubles are mounting, and now even his own defense team appears to be crumbling in recent weeks. Several of Diddy's attorneys have either quit or distanced themselves from the case. Allegedly, some cited conflicts of interest, while others reportedly grew frustrated with the mounting allegations and the public scrutiny surrounding the embattled music mogul. They are going to try. Diddy's team from Diddy's vision is there, going to try to get the case thrown out of jury issues or whatever. Diddy doesn't want to face the actual trial, and he's hoping to not even get to trial, which is just nuts. Like, it's just, and also to why I'm hearing is that he feels like the trial is going to expose too much about him. But did he? I mean, gosh, like, what are we going to find out in the trial that we haven't found out already? But I mean, maybe it does get worse, if that is possible. But anyways, that's what I'm
gonna do this. Promise you're not gonna fall in love.
I'm hearing Anthony was just like, yo, cool, payday, whatever, but the direction that you guys are going, I don't want to be embarrassed. Diddy is not a lawyer, and he's just not listening to people, and it doesn't surprise me, cause Diddy has made a lot of things work for him in life. I mean, he went from Harlem to being a billionaire, but I think I would agree with Anthony, the things that you could do in a business setting, and the way you can maneuver and manipulate, that's one thing, but in a court of law, like, it's going to have a hard time. And I've also heard lastly that there might be 2 other lawyers that are leaving cause that's how fed up people are of Diddy. Adding to the turmoil, sources claim that Diddy's crisis management team has also abandoned ship once tasked with controlling the media narrative and damage control the PR. Strategists allegedly found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer volume of accusations and the shifting legal landscape. Sean Diddy Combs could be fighting for his life amid federal extracting crime charges, and it doesn't help that during all of this, his longtime publicist has quit him now. Diddy is looking into a new crisis management PR team ASAP. Their departure raises questions about how Combs will navigate the storm of legal battles ahead without a solid crisis response team. Why did the publicist drop him, and do you think he'll have a hard time finding a new team? Right now, okay, let me tell you exactly why his publicist dropped him. Because she had been with him for over 2 decades. I know this woman quite well, and I gave her a call and a text on Thursday saying, hey, I've got a story here that Diddy has been looking for a crisis management PR team for since over 6 months, since last year, right? Almost right after the Cassie allegations were settled, and she didn't get back to me the next thing. You know she announces she has quit, so here's the deal. One of the reasons she quit, I am sure, is that what is she going to do in this situation? But it's a hard thing to fix 100%. But also, the crisis management PR people that he has been reaching out to charge at minimum 30 grand a month, nowhere near what he was paying his longtime PR person, so it's a little bit of like, hey, thanks for nothing. Meanwhile, Busby's withdrawal has put a spotlight on his own legal ethics while he is a member of both the New York State Bar and the Texas State Bar. Practicing in a federal district court requires additional credentials instead of ensuring proper authorization. Busby reportedly attempted to bypass the requirement by pleading with a firm that did have the necessary permissions only to continue signing documents himself. This misstep led the judge to reject his filings, leaving the court and his clients questioning his competence. Attorney Tony Busby withdraws from lawsuits against Diddy after failing to disclose his inability to practice law in the Southern District of New York. This might be the biggest fall from grace from a lawyer ever. The embarrassment that Tony Busby is ridiculous now. Y'all know I've been trying to give you guys a break from all the Diddy fatigue, and cuz we're about to get almost a dose of it every day come in May when the trial starts, but I have to tell you guys about this, and also to a couple of people in the comments section were like, no, he does have his license and he will be able to practice. Jay-Z's lying. Jay-Z paid him off. Now I'm not saying Jay-Z is guilty or innocent or whatever. All I'm saying is that the facts are the facts, and I told you guys that he wasn't going to be able to practice, so I guess this is a little bit if I told you so. Tony Busby has stepped down from representing plaintiffs in the lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs after a judge ordered him to explain why he didn't disclose his inability to practice law in the Southern District of York. The Houston attorney has been representing over 120 individuals. Those are 120 people he let down. Critics argue that Busby's ambitions may have clouded his judgment with the high-profile nature of the Diddy case. The attorney seemed eager to embrace the media attention surrounding the allegations, hosting press conferences and making bold claims about bringing justice to the victims. However, this legal blunder now overshadows his credibility, raising doubts about his true motivations. Was he in it for justice or the limelight? One of the biggest lawyers in the United States, and I know not to do that, and I would know how to do it. How can you not? I just feel like he had to have been smart enough to navigate through this, but I think he was just so overwhelmed with the popularity, and so it's pretty ironic, but so caught up with the fame he was getting and the attention. I think that he thought he would be able to skate through the small things. And it's ironic that he is the one who wants to take down the big names and the celebrities, but he is actually the one that wanted to use these celebrities to make himself a celebrity, and now look at him disgrace. I'm telling you, this is the biggest fall from grace from an attorney probably in history. This is embarrassing. Combs, once a towering figure in the music industry, now finds himself at the center of multiple legal battles. The civil lawsuits against him continue, but the loss of a lead attorney like Busby could shift the momentum of the case. The plaintiff will continue to be represented by the remaining counsel of the record, the Curtis Law, as I sort these issues out. And just like we saw when Diddy's lawyer quit, this is something that is filed in a motion, and the judge does have to accept it. But normally it's something they will accept because the case has a right to be heard legally in the court of law. Now we know in one of his 22 cases filed in the Southern District of New York, Tony Busby did apply for pro hac vich. But the other cases, I have checked, and there is no different movement. He hasn't dropped out yet, nor has he applied pro hac vich. A lot of people were worried that these Diddy cases might have been dismissed in their entirety because of Tony Busby's big mistake. This isn't a little mistake, this is something that he honestly should have known better, but I knew that these cases weren't going to get totally dismissed out of the other 20-some cases that are in the Southern District of New York right now. There is no new movement. We know that Tony Busby has dropped out of this case. He has filed pro hac vich in another case, so I'm assuming, in my own opinion, he's probably going to drop out of more of them because that would be an easier way to get these cases rolling where the plaintiffs don't have to worry about anything while his plaintiffs will still be represented. The transition to a new legal team may alter their strategy and affect the pace of proceedings, and in my opinion, I think Tony Busby did the right thing by dropping out of this case and saying, hey, this is about the plaintiff, I did wrong, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, so let me drop out completely and we'll let the other law firm that is registered in the Southern District of New York handle it. So a lot of these
Never above you,
Never below you.
never below you.
Always by your side. If we're gonna do this,
other Denny cases are probably going to move exactly like this, and they are not going to get dismissed because Tony Busby wasn't registered in the Southern District of New York. Now, was this wrong? Yes, it was, but does this mean these victims are never going to get their day in court with Diddy? No, you can almost guarantee that Diddy is probably not happy about this. He was probably praying that this little slip-up was going to have all of these 22 cases in the Southern District of New York dismissed against him. Tony Busby also has like 14 cases filed in the state of New York against Diddy. I'll keep following all of these cases just like I've done today, checking to make sure if Tony Busby filed pro hac vich, or if he dropped out of them completely, but as of right now there is no more movement on any of these other 20 cases, only the 2 pro hac bay and this one that he just dropped. Beyond the legal drama, Combs' once loyal allies in the entertainment industry are reportedly distancing themselves. Several high-profile figures have allegedly cut ties, and some major brands have quietly pulled back from previous partnerships. The public perception of Combs is rapidly shifting, and without a clear crisis management strategy, the damage to his reputation may be irreversible. Also, Paula, we've all been talking about this week on air, off air, where are his friends even? Jay-Z is staying silent. Alright, so people who read my newsletter will know that I have been on this for months, basically saying where are they, and a lot of people are saying, you know, a lot of people. Don't a lot of these guys his friends, and I use that term very loosely because you find out who your friends are when the chips are down, and he ain't got none. A lot of his friends don't want feds going into their past. They don't know what is on the tapes, they don't know who is on the tapes, they don't know how long the tapes go back, so you know, I imagine a lot of people are shaking in their boots right now. Yeah, waiting, oh yeah, just trying to be quiet, not look at it, look away, not hear that kind of stuff, as the legal battles rage on. The real focus shifts to May 12th, when Combs' federal trial is set to begin. With criminal charges at play, the stakes are significantly higher than any civil lawsuit. The courtroom showdown will determine not just Combs' future but also the fate of those who claim to be his victims. Remember, we are quickly approaching Combs' May 5th trial date. Believe it or not, unbelievable. I didn't think that was going to happen, and remember, this is a trial where he will face charges of racketeering, conspiracy, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, transportation to engage in prostitution. That's an important charge we'll talk about in a minute, but in anticipation of that hearing Friday, here are some things that you should know. Maybe what we can expect, we don't know for sure, but this is possible. What is going to be addressed on Friday? Now, first up, we believe that Sean Combs is going to be officially arraigned on the second superseding indictment at this conference. Now, most likely he will be advised of his rights. The charges most likely will enter a plea. One thing is certain, Busby's legal misstep has left a lasting stain on his reputation, proving that even the most seasoned lawyers are not immune to career-defining mistakes. Prior to his legal career, Busby actually was a member of the Marine Corps. He ultimately became a recon Marine officer, which is a pretty elite role in the military. Safe to say that experience likely shaped him into the man he is today, and really allowed him to build the mental toughness and strategic mindset to lead him into his very successful legal career. So after serving in the Marines, he attended the University of Houston Law Center, where he quickly built a reputation as one of the coming sharp legal minds in the Houston area. In the year 2000, he founded the Busby Law firm, and from there he just kept on rising and rising and rising, and has now become a household name in the trial litigation personal injury space. He actually became known for handling cases that other people just wouldn't touch, right, because it had too much hair on it. Their chances of winning didn't seem that great, or just not very attractive cases. Tony had the reputation for taking those cases on, and taking on those cases sure did pay off, because not only did he take on those cases, he would win those cases, and that helped him build his reputation for winning and his experience trying cases. So as I mentioned, Busby's career took off and was built on high-stakes litigation, and as for Diddy, the road ahead looks increasingly treacherous with his legal team in flux, his crisis managers walking away, and a public eager to see how justice will unfold. But make no mistake, this legal war is far from over. Diddy's federal trial kicks off on May 12th, and that's when the real fireworks will begin. If convicted, no amount of legal maneuvering or PR spin will save him. This trial is very close, it's very soon to happen. What are both sides doing in these final days for preparation? So we know on Friday that the court date for the trial got moved back from May 5th to May 12th, just 1 week. They're going to be getting opening statements, but we also know that on April 15th, the witness list, which includes the alleged victims, will be released, and from there we're going to see both sides freely working to do what's called motions and lemonade, trying to get the judge to agree what should come in and what should not come in, what comments can be made, what comments cannot. be made of the defendant or the witnesses, and how basically the courtroom will operate as this case progresses through trial. We'll see them trying to suppress or keep out certain evidence out of the case, or try to bolster it, try to get it in before there are arguments in court in front of the jury. And we do want to remind our viewers that Diddy has pled not guilty for now. One thing is clear. Busby's dramatic exit has rocked the case, but whether this is a true win for Diddy or just the calm before an even bigger storm remains to be seen. Stay tuned. That wraps up today's video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next.
That's crazy. Hold on, let's go see what the first two setups are. Getting excited.
Security special agent who is testifying today, that's the party drug mama. It's similar to ecstasy. This is according to the Homeland Security special agent who testified today about what they saw in Miami during this raid. Now we don't get descriptions in the evidence drops to tell you exactly what these pills are. But when it comes to drugs, Combs' former assistant David James testified this week that Diddy allegedly took drugs every day when he worked for him. Specifically, throughout the day he would take her coats and then switch to ecstasy at night. Unsurprisingly, the incident has sparked a frenzy on social media and legal talk. Shows hashtags like Diddy trial and Brian Steele began trending shortly after reports surfaced public. Opinion remains deeply divided. Some viewers sympathize with the defense's difficult position and view the judge's response as overly harsh. Others believe the reprimand was well-deserved, citing the need for fairness and civility in such a sensitive and high-profile case. Let me read you parts of her opening statement. It's time for me to introduce you to him. His name is Sean Combs, and at this point, I almost peed myself, because Sean Diddy stands up, and it's like kind of abrupt, like I wasn't expecting him to stand up. It almost feels like maybe because he was so statuesque the whole day, he forgot how his limbs move, and then he just like shot up out of his chair like a little rocket heading into space. Or it feels kind of like a military roll call, just like shoots up back, straight posture, straight. She's like this. His name is Sean Combs. You may have heard of him by Puff Puff Daddy P. Diddy Puffy Diddy, but standing in this courtroom at 55 years old, in the same place he was born and raised, he's going by the same name he was born with. Sean Combs. Media outlets from the Times to AP News and Page 6 have picked up the story, further amplifying its reach. Legal commentators from Court TV and CNN Legal have also weighed in, warning that such disruptions could draw unwanted attention from judicial oversight bodies and potentially affect future proceedings. Sean Combs has a bad temper. He sometimes gets so angry or so jealous that he is out of control. You will see evidence, and you will hear some testimony that does not portray my client in a good light. You will hear some text messages, some voice notes, and some witness testimony that may make you think, I don't think this guy is a great guy. I don't like how he just lied to his girlfriends. I don't like the things he just said in that text message. I want to tell you now, there may be one point, there may be multiple points at this trial where you think I think he is a jerk, and I think he is kind of mean, but he is not being charged with being mean. He's not charged with being a jerk. He's charged with running a racketeering enterprise. I did peek at people in the courtroom to the Diddy trial. Now the forensic psychologist, Dawn Hughes, was on the stand earlier today, day 7. She was brought in by prosecutors to break down why victims of domestic abuse stay in relationships in many cases, how they cope, why it takes leaving the relationship for some victims to then open up about the abuse they were experiencing. At its core, this incident is a reflection of the immense emotional, professional, and reputational stakes involved for Sean Combs. This trial may very well determine his freedom and legacy. For the survivors and witnesses who have come forward, it represents a moment of reckoning and accountability. For the legal teams, it is an exercise in navigating a treacherous and highly visible legal landscape while adhering to courtroom ethics in many ways. This trial is about more than just the charges at hand. It is about the culture of silence, power, and protection that has long existed in the entertainment industry. It is about the role of the legal